Who better to have this conversation with rather than Daktari herself? Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
First of all, how does it feel to watch yourself tonight on our news program? as we start off.
It is interesting, but I already saw myself earlier, so we might as well continue.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Karibu sana, even as we start off this conversation, and clarion call to all our viewers tonight on this particular conversation. You want to enroll into TVET, you know someone, brother, sister, who also wants to enroll. This is the right place to talk to us. Have all this calls, SMS on our 0795045864. Talk to us and ask Daktari, the PS, all these questions that you have. Daktari, I'll start off with taking a look at the state of TVETs in the country. And when you take a look at the number of KCSE candidates who you're targeting for 2024 particularly, and because KUSIPS had opened the portal last month, that is January, and then the portal was closed as of the 14th of February, you could first off tell us the number of students and the number of people who you are targeting for this particular enrollment.
Thank you very much, Stan. I'm glad to be here this evening because we want to speak to the Republic of Kenya as a whole on the opportunities that we are availing as a State Department so that our young people have no reason or excuse to be out there without being well engaged as far as learning is concerned. And here we are talking about learning and getting skilled. So we are talking about over 700,000 young people, actually 716,000 young people who may not have qualified to proceed to the university. And what we are telling them as government is that there are other pathways that they are available for them to follow. So the KUPS portal, which I am surprised, Stan, that according to you is closed, according to me it is open, but I'll check that first thing tomorrow morning.
According to the statement from KUPS, said it should be closed by 14th, so you could give us a clarification, and as you say, if it is open, yes.
We agreed that up until with the CEO, KUPS, Dr. Wahome, that until and unless there is a very good reason why the portal should not be open for young people to apply to go into the TVETs and KMTC for now, before it is eventually open for university application, then it should remain open. So as far as I'm concerned, it should remain open, because what you want to tell, like I've already said, young people, is that our TVETs, and we have 240 of them across the country, are ready for them to come, so that we skill them, we give them an opportunity to learn more so that they can be able to proceed well into the world of work.
All right. Let's talk about the dual training policy and what this really means for the TVET sector.
To the gratitude or by the State Department for TVET, Stan, the other day, Cabinet was able to launch the dual training policy. And what this means for us is that we can now train from industry, with industry, and for industry. Here before, industry has been contending that when they bring the young people into the world of work, they have to reskill them. They have to retrain them. Actually, one time I went to CMC and I was able to see the classes within the motor industry where they were actually retraining the young people. And this is the gap as government we are determined to close. So what are we saying? We are saying that now we are forming the occupation standards, the OSs, with industry through the Ministry of Labor. Occupation standards belong to the Ministry of Labor. So our Curriculum Development Assessment and Certification Council, which is our equivalent of NEC, our curriculum developers, assessors, and certifiers, called CDAC. are able to acquire the OSs from the Ministry of Labor, the occupational standards, because it is industry who know what they need, who know what they want. So the Ministry of Labor is able to work with industries and be able to develop the occupation standards. Right. These are the standards that we use as TVET to develop the curricula. Okay. Our curricula is developed by CDAC, like I've already said, all by the national polytechnics, who are by themselves qualification awarding institutions. So in TVET now, we are able to work in such a way that we are able to close that gap where the young people went to the world of work without being absolutely skilled or knowing exactly what they should be doing when they get to the world of work. So we wanted to tell industry that we are crafting the young people in such a way that when they go to the world of work, and actually we are going to work with industry. So the dual training is training the young people 50 to 70% in industry, 40 to 50% in class. So you are training only a short time in the classroom, and the rest of the time you are able to be in industry. And that is why we are even developing the curricula with industry, and we are telling them, as we train this curricula, a big part of the training will happen in the industry, so that by the time they are through with their training, even the culture of industry is already ingrained in them. This is what we mean by dual training. Understand, let me make it very clear to Kenyans as I sit here, that by industry, we do not only mean ile inatoa moshi iko huko juu, that is what we know as industry. Hapana. Ata jua kali. You know, at jua kali, this is where they do the actuals. This is where they do the actual things. So we are telling Kenyans that we are able to work even with the Juakali sector, which we have already formed MOUs with, and we are able to send our young people to work with the Juakali. Remember, at the Juakali is where even most of our vehicles, a lot of times, are repaired. Yes, true. Isn't it? Yes. So we are able to work with even these Juakali artisans, because all we are interested in achieving is that practical work that is being done in whichever space that you call industry. That is what we are calling dual training. Right. So as much as the TVET sector and your department is partnering with different institutions and industries really for this clarion call for the dual policy, now how about for high schools, for example? When you look at this 716,000 plus students, and even now those ones who are going to be sitting for the examinations even for this year, where do high schools come into play, and different institutions for education institutions really? The high schools, we are going there. We know that as we do the reforms in TVET, we are looking into working also with the high schoolers, because Stan, the messaging in high school is that you are going to school to go to university. That is the messaging that has existed there. And remember, here before, we had these institutions, the technical training institutions. Actually, some high schools were technical secondary schools or high schools. But all this changed when we changed even most of the technical institutions into universities. Muranga, for example, Kirinyaga TTI were all changed to universities. Now, so that the messaging has been, you are learning to go to universities. But unfortunately, it is not all of us who are able to get to that space. So we are taking a step back, and I already held this conversation with my colleague, PS Bellio, PS Dr. Bellio. And what we have agreed is that we are writing a memo to high schools, so that as they speak to these young people, let them be able to, let the messaging be that you either proceed to the university or to other pathways. The biggest of these pathways, other than the university, is the TVETs.
Right.
Because like I've already told you, Stan, we have a TVET available in this country in every constituency. We have a few constituencies that we are, well, about 50 of them, that we are yet to construct the TVET institutions. Yeah. But in many of them in this country, we already have a TVET. Okay. And we already have up to 24 national polytechnics. So the access, the government has been able to do the opening up of the space for access very, very well. So we are telling the high school principals, please let the messaging be that yes, you are learning to go to the university, but there are other many pathways. There are KMTCs, there are TVETs in these countries that are going to prepare you well for the world of work. So that is the one step back that we are taking into high schools and telling them this is the messaging they do. Again, remember, Stan, that we have now changed the curricula to CBC, competency-based curriculum. Yes. So by the time these young people are coming to our space, they're getting out of high school, they already have skilled pathways that they want to follow. Those skilled pathways could either be available in the university or in our TVET institutions. But, and even those who are in the universities currently, quite a number of them are coming back to the TVET institutions so that they learn a skill. Because the messaging is clear and out there that it is very important for each and every one of us to have a skill. Because a skill is a lifelong, is a lifelong thing that you are going to rely on, whether or not you are formally or informally employed.
Right.
Yes.
And speaking of going back to actually learn something, let's talk about what the program you're launching today, the recognition of prior learning program.
Yes.
There are quite a number of queries that Kenyans have really raised on the same. How does it work? And let's start off, first and foremost with this particular program.
Yes.
I did my KCSE back in 2002, for example. After that, I, from matters apprenticeship, I saw my uncle do carpentry, and I also did the same. But then I am trying to actually look for a job in some of these industries, but then I get to have that main question, ulienda shule wapi? Kindly help Kenyans understand this particular program broadly.
All right. Recognition of prior learning, Stan, is we want to certify the knowledge, the skill that you have.
Okay.
You could be very well skilled, very competent, but your competency has not been recognized, not been certified. So you cannot leave your space and, for example, apply for a big government tender because they will ask you for your qualifications. All right?
Yeah.
Or you want to apply for a job like everybody else, but you cannot apply for that job because you do not have a certificate. Yes. Or you want to go out of and work out of this country, and as government, we are discouraging anybody going to work out of this country without certification, because then you are not paid as well as those who are certified. So whichever way you look at it, it is important that what you are good at is certified. And therefore what we are doing as government through the recognition of prior learning, and this is a policy that was launched early last year, we want to, what we were doing today is actually just directioning that recognition, where we have now as a department established a directorate that is going to invite everybody and anybody who has a skill that is yet to be certified. And we have personnel trained at the Kenya School of TVET. The former KTTC is now Kenya School of TVET.
Okay.
So we have ready people, assessors, ready assessors, RPL assessors, trained at the Kenya School of TVET, and we have tools developed to assess you at whatever level. So what we are going to do through the directorate that we were launching today is we are going to invite you, and we are going to work with Ngao to inform all these people who are out here that you could come to our institution, any institution across the country,
right.
and then we assess you using our assessors and the tools, like I've already told you, and we will be able to see at what point your skills can be placed. They can either be placed at the lowest, which is level 3, or at the highest, which is level 6, and level 6 is a diploma. So we have the ready assessors and the ready tools, and these assessors and the tools have been made ready with industry. So if we are talking about the painting industry, we have used the painting industry, the building industry, to be able to come up with the qualified assessors and the qualified tools that we are going to use to be able to assess you and place you at a certain level and certify you accordingly.
Right.
Yes.
PS, at the moment, about 3,100 TVET institutions, I believe. Out of this, for this program, how many are going to be implementing this program?
No, we are only 240 TVET institutions across the country.
Right. Between these 240, how many are public and how many are private? And how many are under the...
No, the 240 are actually public, the public one. The private ones are many, including including NIBS, all those, yes. They are all private TVET institutions. They are training very good skills and they're doing a very good job, but those are private. Public at 240. All of them should be assessing. You can walk to any of them.
The 240 public.
The 240. You can walk into any of them and inquire about the assessment. We may not have assessors in each and every one of them, but what I am sure of is that at least we have these assessors and the tools in the national polytechnics. And national polytechnics takes care of quite a number of institutions around itself. For example, we have Kiambu National Polytechnic just somewhere around here. And all the institutions around Kiambu are anchored on Kiambu National Polytechnic. So you can walk into any of our institutions like Rari in Kiambu County, for example, and do an inquiry. And if for some reason we do not have assessors at Rari, they will refer you to Kiambu National Polytechnic, and we will be able to assess you at Kiambu National Polytechnic, and we will certify you at Kiambu National Polytechnic. Because Kiambu is a national polytechnic, therefore it is a qualification awarding institution. So you can walk to any institution, and if there is, if we don't have an assessor there and the tools there, then they'll easily be able to refer you to either a national polytechnic or any other institution around the county where you'll be able to be assessed and is certified by the National Polytechnic within that county, all right? If not, you can even be certified by CDAC, which I said is our neck.
Yes. And just clarifications that some of the questions coming in for the same, because you say the private TVETs are also quite a number of them. So for this program, the private TVETs, are they also going to be implementing this, and how will that be going to be rolled out? Not for now. Not for now.
Stan Rome was not built in a day. We are going to start somewhere. And for me to be able to take control of the progress of the program, I would like it started at the national polytechnics under our watch and see how we roll it out and see how successful or otherwise it is. See which tools we should add or subtract, what more training we should do with our assessors, what tools we should change. So let's take time first as government to be able to check and to see what is what within this space, and then eventually we may invite our private partners to be able to roll it out. But for now, I would like to keep it within some checks and balances.
Right. Let me read a few of the comments here before we take a short break. Helen, good evening. This is KG. Says, Helen, good evening. It's a great show and great work for the PS, Dr. Muoria. Ask the PS about the government's plan to address the issue of shortage of trainers in the fast-growing institutions.
shortage of trainers. We have board employed trainers. It is true we do not have enough government trainers. Last year, government was able to employ 3,300 trainers. This year, we are hoping to be able to bring in another 5,200 or something like that.
Right.
So it is work in progress. But as we bring in the government trainers, the boards are bringing in the board the board trainers, and so that is able to address the gap. But it is the responsibility of the government of Kenya to be able to bring in all the trainers as requisitely as possible for the TVET institutions.
Right. People are still sending in questions.
Yes.
I'll read about two of them before we take a short break.
Yes.
First off, someone congratulating you here says, Lecturer is the most performing PS. I'm a good neighbor. Nick from Embu, Kariru. Someone else says, hello, I'm Patrick. Did artisan in electrical installation had credit and went for diploma in electrical, got referee in my module? What can I do to better position? Because field-wise, I'm well equipped. That is from Patrick. We're supposed to take a short break. We'll be sampling some of this feedback. Yeah. When we come back, read some 4 more sports news and business news, and then continue with this conversation. So we'll definitely be writing more of these questions, and even for you, even for this particular conversation, talk to us. 22047 is our SMS number. 0793 267 279 is our WhatsApp number. 0795 045 864 is our call-in number. Weka credit sahi, tupigie simu when we get back for this conversation. Make sure you understand the role of TVET in upskilling the workforce. Don't go too far. This is the Daily Report.